can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
All right, great. So please, at this junction, I would like everybody to mute themselves if you are not speaking. So, but anyways, so back to your question. What's the difference between if statement uh and loops, right? That's the question you're asking. Good. So when we talk, we have a concept in programming.
Yes, sir.
I mean, or let me just stick to JavaScript right now. So there's something called control flow statements, or control flow. We have what we call control flow in programming on JavaScript. So this control flow consists of three main concepts. I think maybe a little bit more than that, but we have three major concepts inside of that control flow statement. So we have the conditional statement, which have the if and if else, and then the switch statement. I think you're familiar with the switch statement, right? All right. So the switch statement is similar to if else statement. So they are both conditional statements. So we have those conditional statements, and then we have loops.
Not really, sir.
After loops, then we have functions. So these three things are what we refer to as the control flow statement. They help control the flow of your code. So which means, unlike your regular coding, when you're actually coding without this three, you're going to be writing, like, your code is going to be run from top to bottom, line by line, line by line, line by line, one line after the other, one line after the other. That's how your code is going to be run. That's how JavaScript works. Are you getting me? So, but the help of this control flow statement, it doesn't need to run line after line, line. I mean, not every line needs to run. Let me just put it that way. Not every line needs to run in a way. So, which means you can decide to skip some certain line and not include it in the result of the code, because again, not everything that you have in your code is going to be output as a result. So, because every actions are not going to be the same thing. So let me just put it that way. So we need all these things to actually create some kind of control in our code to make sure things work out the way we want them to be. So let's start with that's the similarity between those two, between between loops and if else statement. But when it comes to the differences is very clear. The differences are very, very clear. So let me just start with the if else statement. I mean, let's start with loops for example. So let's create a new JavaScript. So let's call this. So maybe we should just run something in the terminal. So let's create a new JavaScript. Let's call it index.js. All right. So we have this index.js. So when we talk about loops, you talk about for loops, right? So we have for loops, but for loop is not the only loops. It's not the only type of loops that we have in JavaScript. So we have the while loop, the for off loop, uh, the for in loop. So we have all those different loops. So we even have for each, but for each is not is considered as an array method. So, but we don't know actually, but it's actually used for looping as well. So what is loop? That's one thing that you should ask yourself. What do we call loop? I mean, what's that concept loop? I mean, it doesn't have to be relating to programming. What do you understand by loop?
Repetition.
Exactly. Repetition. When something, is repeating over and over again. I mean, if any one of you haven't done it with JavaScript before, you must have maybe do it with maybe video editing or something. You must have come across that loop so that your video can play over and over again, start and then start all over again. Maybe you must have come across it when you're doing HTML media. Did you?
Repetition.
Did you come across it when you were doing HTML media?
Yes, sir. I think it's for videos and audios.
Exactly, it's for videos and audio. So, which means when your videos finished playing, it start all over again, and it repeat that cycle over and over and over and over again. So that's what loops is. It repeats something. It,
Yes, sir. I think it's for videos and audios. I think.
oh, don't worry. You can go and make your own research. How do you loop videos? Now you have something new to learn. You can write it down. So how do you loop a video in HTML? So you're going to use an attribute. It's just basically an attribute called loop. So you're going to
Sorry,
add a
sir. I'm
Boolean
going to say
attribute to that
I need
HTML video tag that is going to loop, or audio
video
tag that's
languages
going to loop
for
that
this
particular
particular
media
one. It's not
over and
confirmed
over
yet.
again. So you can just write it down, and it's something that you can look into later. So now that we know the definition of what loop is, so which is to repeat something over and over and over and over again. So the concept, is something that is useful in our programming because sometimes we want to do some certain operations in a certain numbers of time. So how do we make sure we do these things without having to, repeat it over? I think I told you guys about dry now, the dry concept, right? Right?
So, sir, what did you say?
I introduced you guys to the dry concept, right? So which means we do not need to repeat ourselves over and over again. If there's anything that you're doing that you have to write it again and write it again and write it again, you're doing something wrong. So there are better ways to actually write those things. So loops is one of those things that we can use to stop repetitions when it comes to writing of code. So instead of us, let's just say we want to
So,
say
sir, what did you
hello
say?
world 10 times. We want to say hello world 10 times. So if we want to do that without loops, we have to do it consider log um, hello world, hello world. So now we can now count this up to 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we have hello world 10 in 10 places. So let's run this code and see what it looks like. Um, so let's open our terminal. I think everybody can see what I'm doing. So please pay attention. The network is very bad. Oh, sorry about that. Blessing, you might have to bless our network again. All right, so I'm going to use Git Bash. I don't really like PowerShell. So I'm going to move to terminal area.
Yes, sir.
The
All right,
network is
so
very
let's
bad.
run this code and
It's
see
not so for
what we're
some
going
of
to
us.
get index.js. So now we run it. So now these are results. We get hello world back 10 times. So what if we want to do this thing 20 times? We have to repeat it again 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think you guys are getting the idea, right? So we repeat this thing 20 times and we try to run it again. It gives us back 20 times. So, but there's something wrong with writing code like this. So which means it's not maintainable, it's not scalable. It's just not a good practice. Are you getting me? So because what if we have this thing, this same hello world 10 times or 20 times, if we have it in like let's just say 100 places, and then we decide we don't want to say hello world anymore, we want to specify a name, right? We want to specify a name. So we have to go through this thing one by one. We're going to say, we want to say hello, Joshua. Then we have to come down here and say hello, David. But you guys get you have to edit this thing one after the other. So which is not always a good way to do it. So one of the easiest way to come up with something like this is to use loops to repeat something. So if you want to repeat it, you use loops. Use loop. So how do we create loop? We use there are different type of ways to create loops, and this is one of them. That is the for loop. Is one of the most used type of loops, and it's also one of the most popular ones. So use for loops. So now you create this. Now there are three steps you're going to follow now after writing this. First, you initialize a variable. So we're going to say let I equals 0. But since we only want to try it, so we're going to select I equals 1. We want it to start from 1. So let I equals 1. So now we're going to do I less than or equals to 10. So this is a condition here. So I'm using, sorry, should be a semicolon. So I'm writing the condition here. So which means as long as I is less than or equals to 10, we want this code to keep repeating. So we do I plus plus. So this plus plus is the same thing as writing I plus 1. Are you guys getting me? But writing it as plus plus means I want it to increment by 1 each time this loop runs. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Good. So doing this now, this is how you write a loop. And now we can specify how many times we want a particular code to run. So we can say console.log. Let's just start with the basic console.log. Console.log hello world. So let's just say hello world. Hello world.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I think I still made a mistake here. I'm writing comma instead of semicolon. All right, good. I think we're good to go now. So let's go to our terminal and run this.
Yes, sir.
And so we run this.
It's not showing, sir.
It's not. It's not showing right now.
It's just showing the network.
It's probably the network. I actually ran it and I'm already seeing the result right now.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
you can see how easy it is to come up with, running the code 10 times. We don't have to do copy and pasting, 10
So it's not
times.
showing, sir.
Now our
Okay.
code looks more nicer and neater. So if you want to run it 100 times, we can decide to write 100 here.
Just showing
So as
the
long as this
network.
code, this particular condition, as long as this I, which is the variable, is less than 100 or equals to 100, we want to
Yes,
keep
sir.
running it. We go back, we run the code again, and then we're going to say it's going to go up to 100. So we can't actually count it right now, but we can add the number to it. So let's just add the number to it. So let me just change this real quick to a string template. So we want to say hello world. Hello world. Then we add a variable into it, so which is I. So now when we run it again, we'll be able to count it without having to use our cursor to trace it. So we run it again, node index.js. So now we can count from 1 to 100. You can see there's 100, 99, 98 up to down to 1. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Good. So what situation does if statement comes in with loops? So let's create an array, for example. Let's create an array. So let's have some random names here, or maybe we could have a name of a few students of ours. So I think the person who has the question is David, right? So we have David, and then we're going to have
Yes, sir.
Joshua. Joshua. Is that how to spell Joshua? I think I'm wrong. That's not.
J-O.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we have Joshua. Then we have Blessing. We have who else again? We have Micah. We have Tosin.
JOS.
We have Esther. We have Visual Loom. Uh, we also have all right. So let's just say we have these numbers of people, but I need to save this in a variable, right? So I just have an array here, but we need to save it in a variable. So let's just have a const names array equals this variable. So let's just say we want to say I to every one of these students. We want to say hello to them through our loops. So which means we don't want to say hello world anymore. We want to greet each one of these people one by one. Hello David, hello Joshua, hello Blessing. So how do we come up with that? We'll do it the exact same way that we'll be doing it. So but right now we're not going to, so let's just, how many students do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So we have 8 students. So we have to say equals to or less than 8. We're still coming back to this. This is actually a bad practice, but we're still coming back to that. So let's just type 8 for now. So we have 8 there. Then we're going to say instead of hello, so we're going to say
8.
hello. Then we have a string template. So we type the names. So how do we get the element of an array? Let me just ask for those of you that have done array, how do we access each element of an array? So let's start our exam. Let's start our exam here. Slicing, come on, no.
So, like, you use open a square bracket and you put I in front of it.
So what is that thing called?
It's the square bracket of the I.
Yeah, what is that thing called? What you're doing? What is it called?
I think it's called how you access every element of an array.
No, no, no.
Slicing.
So, like, you use open a
Oh
square
my
bracket
god.
and you put I in front of it.
All right. So it's called
It's
indexing.
the
Indexing.
square bracket of the I.
Indexing. Yeah, good. So indexing. So that's what this is. So I'm going to
I
use
think it's
indexing
called how
to
you access
access
every element in an
the
array.
No.
elements of this
What
array.
is
So I'm just
called?
going to add I
Template
inside of it.
reference.
No.
Are we together?
Hey, no. Hey,
So what is
God.
this? What is this I? What is this I?
Hey.
Index.
Array index.
Index of an
So,
array.
but before we run this, do you think this is going to work? Do you think it's going to work? It's not going to work. Why? We are missing something there before we leave. It's not even here anymore. Where I'm still going to come back to that. But
Yes, sir.
what are we missing there? For those who have done our visual loan, please enlighten us.
Index.
Index.
Visual loan is not here.
It's not an index. So.
Okay, I thought I saw him today.
No, 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 no.
Uh, oh, all right. So
Yes,
the
sir.
backend people,
Yes,
please, I
sir.
would like you guys to enlighten us. What what am I doing wrong here? No, it's not. Okay, yeah, we actually all
It's
right.
not, I'm
So
not
we
sure it's on
we
this
we
call.
have that wrong, but we're still doing something wrong
It's
here
absent. Okay.
because we're not going to
Six.
capture all the names. So let me just go. Let me
That's
just
because you're starting from 1 instead of 0.
exactly good. So
Maybe
arrays
it's in I
indexing start
think
from
it's
start from
like
0.
the naming of
So and we
the
are starting
names.
from 1. So it's not going to work. So we have to have it as 0. then we
Hello.
need to cancel this equals to so that we don't have an overflow.
Hello.
So now we have the zero,
We're only going to capture one.
then we go back
I mean,
and then we run
Okay,
this
that's
code.
because you're starting from one
Load
instead of zero.
index index.js. All right. So we successfully run this code. So we're still reaching to that part where if statement comes in, right? So
Yes,
that's
sir.
yeah, that's what I would like to talk about. So now we are saying hello to every single name
let's start from.
10 times without having to
Hmm?
write more. We are writing less than like 5 lines of code. Are you getting me? So that's the beauty or that's the advantage of using loops in your code. So now how does if statement comes in? So let's just say
Yes, sir.
when it gets to visual loom, we want it to say visual loom is absent today because visual loom is not here today, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. So when it gets to visual loom, we want it to say visual loom is absent. So how do we work with that without using if statement? What is if statement? What is all these conditional statement? Anyone have any idea what they are? What is conditional statement and what why do we need them? Why do we need them in programming?
Um,
Yes, sir.
I think it's a state. I know it's a statement that we use when we are talking of two different conditions, like two different situations. If this doesn't happen, then run this code. If this happens, then run this code. Stuff like that.
Exactly. It's like saying to yourself, maybe you're walking into a restaurant. It's like saying to yourself, I think I'm let's use Jara for instance. You're walking into Jara, you're saying, I'm actually
So
very
I think it's a state. I know it's a statement that we use when we are talking
you're
of
kind of
two
like
different conditions, like two different
what's the word
situations.
for when you're
If this
you're
doesn't
craving for
happen,
coke? Let
then
me just put it
run
that
this
way.
code. If
So let's
this
say you're
happens,
craving
then
for
run
coke,
this
but
code.
you're
Stuff
not
like
very
that.
sure if Jara is going to have coke. But then you tell yourself, if Jara doesn't have coke, you're going to get yourself a yogurt. That is basically what conditional statement or if a statement is all about. So you give yourself some options that if this one is not true, you're going to do something else, and that's what we're about to do right now. So which means if we get to visual loom, we want it to say absent. Are we together? So it's impossible to do that right now by just doing what we are doing right now. So it's actually impossible. I don't know unless we target the exact index of where that, and that's not a good practice. So now we need to make sure that when it gets to visual loom, that it says absent. So now we're going to add a conditional statement here. All right, so we're going to take a pause for a little bit. So, is how many of you guys in full stack have gotten to JavaScript?
Just raise
Raise
your hand.
raise your hand, please. Just raise your physical hand. Your physical hand.
All of you have gotten to JavaScript.
No, they haven't gotten to JavaScript. That's the question.
Okay,
If
if
you
you
haven't
haven't
gotten
gotten
to
to JavaScript,
JavaScript,
raise your
raise
hand.
your hand.
When we mean gotten, we're not saying your class has gotten to JavaScript. That you have not gotten to JavaScript, but JavaScript has gotten to you.
If you're taking your lessons up to JavaScript right now, if JavaScript is the lessons you're watching right now, your current lessons, is it JavaScript or is
Yes, sir.
not, or you are still in HTML CSS? You're only in HTML CSS. How many of you are in that stage? Raise your hand. That's the question. One, two.
Okay, so how many
Um,
of you are in JavaScript, but
Yes,
you
sir.
are you don't understand it?
And
Okay, let me put it this way. How many of you are in JavaScript and you understand it? To some extent. How many of you are in JavaScript and you understand it? No, I don't. Let me even remove to some extent. How many of you are in JavaScript and you understand it? So that's the person that asked that question. Who asked this question? The particular person
That's David. That's David.
you, right? So which means you got it from literally. Where's the person? So leave it. Kenny, you have done JavaScript. You now.
Kenna, visual ahead of everybody.
So if you know that